We're speaking today to Dr. Mike Anderson, who's a philosopher of evolutionary biology. Mike, thank you very much for making yourself available for this interview.
My pleasure, Andre.
I'm very interested to know more about you, your background, particularly your academic background, and before we go into your understanding of this whole issue of evolution, just share with us your professional and academic background.
Thanks, Andre. I trained in evolutionary biology, but perhaps I should backtrack. Before I came to university, I wasn't a Christian. In fact, I thought that science had the answer to all the important questions, even questions such as the meaning of life, purpose of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to university with great expectations about what a career in science would do for me. And I'm pleased to say that the answers I needed came, but not in the way I expected.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the answers would come in a lecture theatre or a lab perhaps. But in fact, the big answers I needed happened very quietly in my room at residence when two students knocked on my door, and they explained that the purpose of life is to have a relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And when, for the first time, I realized the enormous lengths that God went to reconcile myself to Him, my heart melted.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave my life to Christ, and that's the best decision I ever made.
Okay.
But I had set my sights on studying in the life sciences, and I blame my parents for that. I had a mother who wasn't scared of anything, so I could bring spiders and snakes home and she didn't bat an eyelid.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know you were supposed to be scared of them.
Mm.
And then I had a father who was very interested in things, and I remember one day he told me about when he was a child he was playing soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and the opposing team dribbled the ball right past him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was staring at the ground, and they scored a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And his mates came up to him and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Sorry, I was looking at some ants." So I inherited a love for nature from my parents, and I'm very glad about that. And so I decided to study life sciences, and I went on to study evolution. And
Where was this, Mike?
that was at University of the Witwatersrand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my troubles began.
Your troubles?
Troubles.
Explain to us.
Well, after I became a Christian, this newfound faith was very important to me. But I found it difficult to reconcile with my studies. In the beginning it was just easy. I would say evolution is just a theory.
Mm-hmm.
But as I went on further into my studies, that position became more and more difficult to sustain. And that precipitated a crisis. Just to give you an indication of where I was, to cut a long story short, I remember singing the great old hymns of the Christian faith,
Mm-hmm.
and finding myself skipping over certain parts because I wasn't sure I believed in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a hypocrite. What am I doing in church singing these hymns if I don't believe it?
But you were a Christian at that point.
I made a decision for Christ.
Right.
And I was in a very dark time spiritually, in a state of turmoil, because I wasn't sure what I believed, where I stood. But today, and I'm grateful to God, He brought me through that. I'd like to be able to tell you that I came up with some Nobel Prize-winning theory that finally resolved all the issues around creation and evolution, Bible and science.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that. I'll tell you the key to this, and I'm going to say it in a few seconds, but it actually took a while for this to penetrate.
Right.
The key was the realization that the person of Jesus is not just the founder of the Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
He's the foundation
Mm-hmm.
of the Christian faith.
Right.
He's the reason to believe. He's the best reason to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that when I looked at this person of Jesus, I had no answer for him, except as amazing as this sounds,
Mm-hmm.
this is God in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that my faith was grounded in him,
Mm-hmm.
I became liberated from angst and anxiety over the evolution issue,
Really?
because my faith is grounded in him.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever way the fossil record goes is fine. I'll
Mm-hmm.
let the fossil record speak.
Mm-hmm.
My faith is in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that was key. That was key to my dealing with this evolution issue.
Okay.
Not that I had answers necessarily in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but as a faith issue,
Right.
I knew I was secure in him.
Okay.